How to make kefir and why you should, and where to get the grains here in the Philippines or whatever country you're in. I ordered my kefir grains online here in the Philippines. They came and they worked. I'll get into some details about the various varieties that are available. Something I never heard about on the many U.S. YouTube channels concerning this. Anyway, it is like that is a kefir grain, and even those little specks there I think are smaller kefir grains. And this is the package it came in. Please handle, protect from heat. And inside of that package they had some heat reflecting materials and another cushion there. The organic milk kefir grains, 2 teaspoons, the Belgium brand strain, and that's the package it came in, mixed with some milk to keep them alive. It also came with kind of an outline of instructions and an instruction book that had quite a bit of information in it, so we're very happy with this shipment. So this is how they came out of the packet, and then I strained them. I strained them into a bowl, and what they said to condition the grains after shipment is to in 7 days is to add new milk, about I think half a cup of milk each day, and let it sit overnight, and do that for 7 days, and that will recondition the grains that have been in a bit of a dormant state, I guess. I also ordered some water kefir grains, which I have not used yet, but these things grow, and I gave some to some friends, and they said, "Hey, we're up to our knees in kefir grains. What are we going to do with them?" And I'll do another video about that. So for 7 days, I would strain these and add new milk. I would strain the old milk out that had been sitting for 24 hours, and I would add another cup of milk to this bowl, stir it around a little bit, cover it so no flies or critters get into it, and set it at room temperature. You don't need to control the temperature. There is I think I've heard different temperatures, 75 to 85 degrees Fahrenheit, and you can figure that out for Celsius. Right in that range. The type of milk that you use has some bearing on how it comes out as well. The best milk, and you can use any kind, goat milk. This is from a farm in the Philippines, grass-fed cows, probably healthier than grain-fed. You can use goat milk, coconut milk, a number of different things. Several years ago I had read that 90% of the milk in the Philippines is imported. Now, I don't know if that's still the case. I think there are a couple new dairies. The government has been promoting dairies to some degree. Anyway, this grass-fed, I try to buy grass-fed butter. Comes from Ireland here is what I've been finding, and grass-fed beef, which comes from generally New Zealand. I think you can get some from Australia. Sometimes the stores have it, like S&R, which is like a Costco around the world. Sometimes they have it, sometimes they don't. But you can do your research on grass-fed versus grain factory-fed cows and their milk and meat. I have had to use the UHT, ultra high temperature processed milk, a couple times when the supermarkets didn't have this type of thing, and that's all that was available. And I have heard online through some of these videos, dozens of videos that I've watched, that doesn't work. Well, it did work for me. Didn't work as well probably, and I ended up with smaller grains, but it worked. Now, if you continued to use that long term, would that finally destroy your grains? I don't know. I don't know what the output would be. And I have heard you can use the various percentages of milk. Full fat, which I use, is probably you're going to get the most kefir out of it, the thicker kefirs, and there again, the type of milk that you use will affect how thick, how thin it is as well. Your temperature you keep it at. If it's real hot, if it's much colder, that will affect the consistency. And how fast. Some people say in 12 to 18 hours they get a batch because of the heat that they have it at. And other people say, like, maybe it's colder in the winter time wherever you're at, in your kitchen, wherever you're storing it, your cupboard. and it might take 36 hours to finish fermenting. Anyway, there's many degrees of fermentation also, so it doesn't mean it's bad, under fermented, over fermented. After 7 days of conditioning my grains, changing out the milk each day, this is basically what I had: 2 teaspoons or more than 2 teaspoons of Kefir grains. After draining off the milk, this is what I had, and I put that in a jar. And I've heard different things about how much you should use per cup of milk as well. I've heard 1 teaspoon, 1 tablespoon. So kefir is very forgiving, and the more you use, the faster it's going to ferment. There again depends on the quality of your milk and the heat that you're keeping it at. This is a full cream milk. This is UHT, I think, ultra high processed. I had to use a couple times because the fresher milk was not available in the store. Unfortunately, I'll go and I'll buy like 3 liters, I think, today, and freeze one of them. I've been reusing some of my milk bottles to process this too, and I do this one a day. There is a way to slow this process down. I'll get into that perhaps in another video. Anyway, kefir, I understand, doesn't like metal. I've heard that you can use stainless steel if it's certified stainless steel. Strainer, for instance, I've seen people use colanders, various types of things to do the straining. The bigger the hole, the more smaller kefir grains are going to fall in, but that's okay. You can eat and drink the kefir grains. And I'm sure even as you let this sit, you take this and let it sit at room temperature, basically, someplace, and I put it out here down by my sauerkraut that is fermenting there as well. So it is best to use non-metal. If you're just using a metal spoon just for a short period of time, that's okay, I guess. Use a coffee filter or some kind of cloth to keep the critters out, and a rubber band to secure it. After about 24 hours, and you're going to have different experiences, depends on the milk and the temperature. So 24 hours is not a magic number. You just learn it. And this is kind of how it comes out. And you can get some separation, but we'll talk about that perhaps in another video. Anyway, pour that through my strainer, and I'll use a spatula, not something metal, to kind of help it because it'll take a long time to drain that way. There people do that. But just kind of gently move it around, and just like anything getting plugged up, the grains go to the bottom, kind of plug the holes there, so you kind of move it around, and I don't think you're really going to damage the kefir. The very small kefir grains, and just like any baby thing, starts off small. A lot of your very tiny baby kefirs are going to go through those little holes, and that's why it's going to continue to ferment in the refrigerator even very slowly. The refrigeration will slow that down. And then this is basically what you have left, your kefir grains, and you could continue to spatula, move that around, get a little more out of there. But some people even add some of the kefir liquid back into the grains along with additional milk. That's my kefir creamy drink. Much better. I think there's 50 to 60,000 different strains of bacteria, good bacteria for your digestive system, versus I think that various yogurts might have 5 to 10 or something like that, different strains. Anyway, I use a funnel to whatever container I'm going to put the kefir liquid itself in. I use a funnel to put that in. And then I also put the grains back in another jar and add milk to that, depending on how much. Maybe I use 2 cups to a couple tablespoons. Now you can get some separation, as you see in this picture. You can see the more thick part on top and more the liquid, what they call whey, at the bottom. I think that's spelled W-H-E-Y, I think. And some people separate that. They take the separation and they make like a whey soda drink. They use it, mix it in with various things. I usually mix it up together, and I just leave it with my batch, but you can do what you want with it. Separation can be caused by a number of factors. From my research, I don't know the exact science, but if you're using a lot more grains than you are milk. There can be it can ferment very rapidly and therefore separate. I've heard that sometimes because of the higher heat, it might ferment much faster and sitting there longer, and might separate. But I'm not going to try to get into the science of it all. I've heard various people online discussing this, what they do with it. But yeah, a lot of people do. They just drain off the whey, the liquid part at the bottom, and they actually make a little bit, because it will carbonate a little bit, I think, and some of their people, some of the people's children seem to like it, or they may cook with it. And you can cook with the do various things with the kefir as well. Now I'm going to show you where I got this here in the Philippines. You can get it from, do an online search. You might have people with a lot of kefir wanting to give some away as well. But anyway, I ordered online from Lazada, similar to Amazon in the U.S. Jumping over to Lazada. Lazada is an online shopping place. Got a long ways to go to be anywhere close to Amazon and some of the other places. But it is one way to shop. A lot of people during the lockdowns learned how to shop online, and they're not going back to a lot of the stores. Continued to shop online. Anyway, I was not able to find kefir grains that here at health food store here in Cebu City. A couple of them that I know of. Did find some kefir powder at one point in time, but they've been out for months and months and months and months. Anyway, this is the one I end up buying. Live organic milk kefir grains, unlimited use with instructions included, and mini guidebook. And you see what you get. That sounds like a lot of money for what you get. Oh, 1,700 pesos. But you can reuse those grains, and I'll get into more of that a little bit later. And with all the over 25 videos I have watched online about how to make this and the various benefits, I have not seen some of this information on any of the sites, usually from the USA on YouTube. And anyway, I bought this Belgium milk kefir grains. And I have not heard anybody else mention that there are different varieties. Now here it says Russian, and Tibetan, and 2 tablespoons. This is one teaspoon, 2 teaspoons, and the price goes up if you get the smaller quantities. If you click on them, you'll get to see the smaller quantities price up here. Irish. 1 teaspoon, and what I have read is that the Belgium, where's the Belgium? I guess it's the one I have listed here. The Belgium is the least sour and has the most good bacteria strains within it. That's what I read. So that's a little bit, kind of looks like cauliflower, kind of looks like mine looks more like cottage cheese, and I think it really depends upon, you can buy a larger kit, I think, with a mixing jar and various types of things. Mine looks more like cottage cheese, but and then I added it to the cart and I ordered it. And there's additional information down here. The top one, organic Belgium milk kefir grains and Irish milk kefir grains, both have greatest of microbial strains among all kefir, followed by the Tibetan milk kefir, and less sour than Tibetan and Russian kefir. More dominant, good bacteria than others, much creamier, much more delicious than ordinary kefir, whatever ordinary kefir is. It's kind of a vague term there, and a little bit about Tibetan milk kefir grains, about 60% sourness, not that of sour as Russian kefir. Second best kefir, cauliflower appearance. Russian milk kefir grains, super sour, about 90% sourness. I'm not sure how they determine percent. It's pretty subjective there. Anyway, a little bit about, you just continue to use these, a little bit about the nutritional, better than yogurt and Yakult. loaded with lots of vitamins and minerals, up to 60 kinds of billions of good friendly bacteria. Has instructions. You can drink it plain, unflavored. You can eat the grains if you want. I've heard people say they feed the extras because they grow. Feed the extras to their pets. Make smoothies, make ice cream, make cheese, and you can make mix it in with your pastries and baking as well. So anyway, there's additional information there. And you just continue to use those grains. Now I use a funnel to put that into a container. And I had to cut back and just do it every other day. I'll let it sit 24 hours, and I'll put it in the refrigerator for 24 hours, take it out, and do a second ferment, let it sit out for another 24 hours. That's one way to slow it down or make smaller batches, or I've even frozen some of my grains. Anyway, check out my other over 1,000 videos about the Philippines, and I hope that helped some of you, gave you some ideas. See you next time.